Okay, so I've installed a bunch of games onto the Steam Deck. What I did was I went through all of these that are listed here where it says great on deck, and I picked the ones. Basically I made sure to pick the ones that were 2 gigabytes or less. I was trying to be conservative about the storage. So the ones that I have right now installed, again, at least according to their specs, they take up about a little less than 2 gigs each. When you actually look at the storage, of course, they end up taking a bit more, but that's how software works, right? So anyway, so if I look at the installed games, right, we'll see a number. I've got right now 20. Okay, so all of these, and they are of different types. And of course, with the exception of Counter-Strike and Half-Life 2 Lost Coast, right? I installed those first just to test things out with the graphics and everything, right? So beyond that, again, these are all fairly small, relatively small games that, again, are advertised as being able to run well. They are what Steam calls verified. Okay, so supposedly that means that performance-wise, graphic-wise, controller-wise, so forth. So I'm going to test out and do a quick clip of each one. So we'll start with the first one here. It's called Beholder. This is an interesting game. It's got a somewhat sinister premise. If you've ever played something like Orwell, that whole totalitarian state concept, is they really dig into that here in this game, and it's a much darker in some sense. I mean, literally, it's a very dark palette, so it might be actually hard to see some of that, to visualize some of the things happening on screen. But anyway, let's take a quick look here. I'm still learning about the game, obviously. Most of these games, again, I've never played before, so I just installed them, tried them out briefly just to kind of get familiar with the controls. And then now, so I'm coming back here, and I guess I'm just going to do a little brief demo on each one, just so we can kind of get a sense of how well the Steam Deck runs with various kinds of games. Okay, the machine itself is actually pretty decent in terms of specs on the hardware side. Again, I did get the sort of the ultimate edition with the 512 gigabytes of storage. But overall, that all of the editions of the Steam Deck, I believe, share the same type of CPU, graphics processor, and so forth. Okay, so here's the game Beholder, and the idea is that you've been recently assigned as the manager of this department in, again, this pretty totalitarian regime, and your goal is to basically monitor, surveil the tenants, and report to the headquarters on anything that might be suspicious. And let me see something here. Okay, I'm supposed to call the ministry, right? And what's mentions here, got a couple of directives. So anyway, so again, performance-wise, graphic-wise, it's a pretty basic game. So, you can interact with the character. This is your family here. Okay, so you do have some interaction, conversation, some dialogue trees here. Don't worry, honey, I'll be a good manager. That's what he's saying, assuring his wife that he won't get kicked out like the last building manager. And apparently I have 2 kids. I have an older son and a little girl there. Oh, my little girl. Will you play with me? Not now, Martha. I can ask her about the house, see how she likes it. Do you like our new home? I like him very much. He's big. And you? I like him too. We have 3 rooms. We used to have just 1. Moreover, we have a TV. Will they take our TV, Dad? No, honey. Nobody will take it. Patrick says they sometimes show a cartoon. Cute. Anyway, so during the tutorial phase, they had me place a couple of cameras for the purpose of surveillance, right? Just as to get used to some of the types of tasks that you would do. So, like, there are certain points along in the scenery, in the environment, where you'll be able to interact. So, like here, you see it showed a little A indicator up above there. So this is where I would have placed one camera, and then back there I placed another one. So apparently that's important to the game, to be able to place these cameras and again, monitor your tenants, including apparently your own family and yourself. But anyway, I'm supposed to make a phone call to the ministry, so let's see what happens here. Ministry of Order, your call is accepted. Hello, Carl. You've learned your main duties. Are you ready to receive a task? Not really, but... yeah, I wonder, can I get out of here? In what information are you interested? I'm just asking questions here. Oh gosh, there's a lot of stuff. Anyway, so again, overall, this game runs, pretty smoothly. There's not a lot to it so far. Again, graphics-wise, it's reasonable. It's not, something like No Man's Sky or any of those really advanced games with 3D graphics, but it works. It gets the point across. So anyway, so this is the first game that I'm demoing, and I'll pause here, and we'll be back with a few more. Okay, moving on to the next game in my collection on the Steam Deck at the moment. This one looked very intriguing. It's called Beyond Eyes. Unfortunately, I have not been able to get the controls to work as I imagine they're intended. The touchscreen part works, but that doesn't really do much for you. So I don't know if it's just a matter of the configuration is incorrect, but we can look at it again just a little bit. You can see again graphics-wise, it's pretty decent, but I unfortunately haven't been able to really play much. But let's take a quick look here. It's made with Unity, right? So that sounds promising. See, so like even here, where it says press any key to start, and again, in most of these games that have been, when adapted for Steam Deck, that usually indicates that you should be able to press any of the buttons here, or really any of the buttons, the triggers or whatever, but nothing seems to work. The touch screen does respond, so if I do this, at least it does load the game. But then from here, like I say, I'm not able to figure it out how to really do anything. Like I said, controller-wise. I'm trying to remember the premise of the game. I'll have to look at the description afterward, but I think the main character here is I believe blind, but like I say, nothing, none of the controls, the joysticks, the buttons, not even the menu button here. Of course, I can bring up, I can press the Steam button to bring up this menu, but it doesn't really help much. Again, I can look at the supposed controller layout, and it indicates there that all of these various buttons and controls are supposed to operate a certain way, but again, as we see, even the touchpad, little mouse pad here, doesn't really do anything. But I find that if I, touch the screen, I can get, some kind of response, right? But you can't really control her, as far as I know, unless maybe I'm just, so you double press, if you will, nothing. So, unfortunately, if I can figure it out, we might come back and check it out if I can get the controls to work. But otherwise, like I said, it sounded promising, but unfortunately, this is the one game that I installed out of the 20 that, again, I haven't been able to actually get to work properly with regard to controls. Okay, so we're just going to exit here, and oh good, they actually are asking me some feedback. Valve's testing indicates that Beyond Eyes is verified on Steam Deck. Does this match your experience in playing the game? I will say no, because again, despite the fact that it does claim it's verified, that again, verified means that it should run well in terms of performance, graphics, and also the controller settings. But I'm going to say no, and I don't know what that will do. But I'm going to go ahead and be honest as far as the feedback. Hey, I earned a trading card, yay! But let me take a quick look at here again if I can see the description of the game. Yeah, it says Beyond Eyes is a modern fairy tale about finding courage and friendship. Step by step, uncover an incredible world, carefully guiding Ray, a young blind girl, on a life-changing journey. So again, it sounded intriguing. The initial graphics there, again, pretty decent. But unfortunately, I'm not able to get very far. Obviously, I could install this on my desktop and start playing there. But again, the whole point was we were trying to confirm that these games that they claim are verified as supposedly great on deck, but this one apparently, at least from my experience, has not been so great on deck. All right, so that's another one down. Okay, I'm back here to take a second look at the Beyond Eyes game. I did figure out the controller situation. At least I think I did. It looks like, and again, this is just one of those things, right? Nothing's perfect. The sort of the default setting that they had for the controller, which was supposedly the preferred one. Okay, let me go look here. So this was what they called the recommended controller layout. It's described as gamepad with joystick trackpad, and again, as we saw before, that did not work. Again, you literally could not do anything. You couldn't interact with the game other than through the touch screen. But so what I did was I simply went and looked at the other available layouts, templates here for the controller layouts, and I just tried each one, and through experimentation and trial and error, I kind of discovered that the game really was designed, it appears, was designed for a keyboard, using the sort of the traditional WASD with mouse control. So it turns out there actually is a controller layout template specifically defined for that. Okay, keyboard, WASD, and mouse. So that's the one I ended up, selecting, and it turns out that it actually works pretty well. Okay, so just to do another, again, quick demo so that we can see for ourselves how well the game runs and how well the controls work. Okay, so we see even right there, it was already responsive to the buttons where it says press any key. At the opening screen, I was able to do that and load the game. So already it's a big improvement, right? Okay, so again, with this particular layout, the controls work more as you would expect. So the left joystick here does control the character and movement. The right controller actually controls the camera, the view, right? That makes sense. You've got your buttons here, the menu button, okay? And I believe the A acts as the action button. Okay, so, oops, I didn't want to quit. Come on, to resume. Okay, so as we see here, again, it seems to be working pretty well. Okay, again, this particular game has an interesting premise where you're controlling this character who is supposedly blind. And so your view, interesting, of the environment sort of gets filled in as you explore. Okay, so you can see the character is kind of in many ways exploring, by touch. She's sort of, reaching out in front of her to kind of feel her surroundings. Okay, so it's an interesting, like I say, interesting concept, an interesting premise. All right, but other than that, I mean, again, the game, the actual controllers do seem to work pretty well. Okay, so you can move her around, move the camera, and I haven't come across anything specific in terms of interaction yet. But again, I believe the buttons here will work as expected. Oops. Okay. See, so we kind of reached the limit of this area here. Okay, so like I said, you're filling in the view as you explore. Again, I guess it's kind of in a way, I guess it's sort of simulating, again, what a blind person would experience. I don't know. Obviously, I'm not blind, but anyway. So like I say, interesting game premise, and I'm glad to see that we were able to figure out the controller situation here. Okay, so there you go. So that's oops, let's see if I can quit here correctly. Okay, so that's Beyond Eyes. Okay, so again, it was one of those verified for Steam Deck, and like I say, once I picked the appropriate controller layout template, we seem to be in business. All right. Okay, so here we have the Broken Sword. Which one is this? Shadow of the Templars. Okay, the famous Broken Sword series. This is one of your typical point-and-click adventure games, right? In a similar style as like I'm trying to think of like Monkey Island, or that's the only one that I can think of right now. But it's the 2D typically looks like hand-drawn art, and point and click through the scene to move the character and interact. So this one runs pretty well, of course. You know, it's not very demanding. Okay, and so now this one, it makes sense that it would rely mainly on the touchpad here, because again, on a desktop, you would be using the mouse, right, to control most of the interaction, right? So, right, pretty typical. You just kind of literally point to a position on the screen, click to move the character, right? And right at the beginning here, as is typical of these games, the Broken Sword games, we've got a murder right at the beginning here. So I'm going to have her go over and investigate.
Mimes and guns don't usually go together, but I had an idea that this was no ordinary mime. I'd come across this murderer before and written about him. The costume killer, at least that's what I'd called him.
Interesting. Yeah, you heard that right. She said mime. So that was, in the game, in the intro phase, we did witness a mime. We didn't actually witness him killing the guy, but he was present when we discovered the body. So what is this? Oh, this is the journal here. Just read through her observations. Go back to the main scene. See if there's anything else we can look at. We can look at the book case over here.
The bookcase was filled with obscure first editions.
Okay. It looks like we can maybe open the window. This, I believe, this is a balcony door here. Anything else over here? There's a little bust of somebody.
A bust of Pierre Carchon, humble servant of La France.
Okay. Can we sit in the chair? No. Okay, we can go out, but I don't want to. Let's see what happens if we try to open this up here. Or actually, yeah, let's try to open this.
A small round piece of glass had been cut out of the pane. This was a professional job.
Nice.
I didn't want to cut myself and leave blood on the glass. Call me old-fashioned, but I like to keep my DNA to myself.
Makes sense. Good idea. Got another bust here. Who's this?
Pierre Carchon again. His eyes seem to follow me around the room.
Okay. All right. So again, this type of game, you can imagine, would run pretty well on something like this. Again, it's not very demanding in terms of graphics. So performance-wise, I suspect it would be, it would run pretty well. Okay. So we'll close this one out.